Hey guys, so it's a pretty nice day today, so I figured we'd go on a little garden tour before I get all the stuff into the garden and everything, because I'm still waiting for it to grow. So let's see what's going on now versus what has been going on. Okay, so we're gonna start over here by the door and everything. We're gonna show the different things that's going on with what's over here, and we're gonna just work our way around. I might talk about like plans for what's gonna go on with the garden. I'm not sure yet, but I just kind of wanted to show you guys because I saw some new stuff, and so I thought it was pretty cool. Okay, so starting over here, minus the fuzzballs that want to help. This little tomato plant was a cutting from a tomato plant, hi sweetie, that I got from Lowe's, I do believe, and it did not do too well. So I took a cutting hoping that maybe propagating it would help. This got to be about yay tall or so, but the frost kind of knocked it down. These are the only surviving green sections after the frost. So basically what I did, you get out of the way, was mounded up some dirt around it, hoping that it would grow new roots, so that way I might be able to actually get this one to fully fruit. I got one very small, what looked like a Roma tomato, but it is not a Roma type as far as I remember, so I'm going to see if maybe it'll grow. Okay, so the thyme here, I've gotten a few cuttings from it in the past. I don't cut too much off of it because this one I have had limited success with getting it to get bigger, but it does seem to want to bush out a little bit, so maybe if I just leave it alone it'll be fine. This is my golden raspberry plant. Since it has warmed up a bit, I have been getting lots and lots of new leaves. These are all brand new leaves. They started at the bottom and then started to slowly work their way all the way to the top. That tomato cage was over here to hold that one, but at this point I'm just putting that there in case that fuzzball tries to destroy the plant. This is, I do believe, my regular sweet mint here. You stop that. Get out of there, garden. Get out of the garden. This one here had a companion that lived next door. We'll talk about this plant in a second. They both seemed to basically die, and I had up-potted them from their original pot. I guess I had messed with them a little too much, and I cut back a little too far. Anyways, this one has come back very, very well. I found that if you basically leave it alone and almost abuse it with water, they seem to thrive very well. They did a lot better when it was cooler than it had when they were warm. So that's something to consider. Excuse me. Moving on. This guy over here is my boysenberry plant. Now, the reason I started this whole entire video today was the fact that it has leaves. Look at that, they're so adorable. Now, this plant obviously grew to be about this size before it went into dormancy for the winter. I'm assuming that the very brown sections are going to have to be cut off, but other than that, it stayed pretty relatively green looking, so I had high hopes that it was going to continue on throughout the winter all the way up until spring. So this is the first sign that I was right. When you have pots like this, especially if you're in your garden bed like I am, make sure you put something underneath them or check often for it to move on its own without you hearing the roots gripping the ground. I am going to have to put something underneath there, but for a majority of the reason I leave it like that to help with adequate draining. That is kind of the purpose of it. I do plan on moving that into the in-ground eventually. I just didn't know if I wanted it there. My dill here, I've gotten several cuttings off of it. There's, I think, 4 plants. 1, 2, 3, yeah, 4 plants. You can see, especially on that one, there's some little nubby sections. All of the white powder you're seeing is diatomaceous earth. I've had aphids, especially, you can see right here, it's a little whiter. So basically with that, I got the pet safe variety, and you just rinse it off and it's fine. It doesn't taste any different with it rinsed or anything like that. So I'm gonna have to do another cutting of these guys, but I am just surprised with how much dill I have gotten so far before they've bolted, because last time they bolted really fast, but I think I was a little late. These lovelies right here are they are snapdragons. I don't remember exactly which one. I think they might be my apple blossom ones, but they are a pink variety for sure. The cats seem to trample through the midsection right here, which is why there's such a drastic lower difference. But in some weird way that kind of works out, considering the fact, here's another broken piece. Like that, it's, find it all the time, all day long. For the fact that it kind of like self gardens it, you know, like you can get it to bush out a little bit better. So I hate it when they do it because it drives me nuts, but at the same time it's kind of a blessing in disguise. This rosemary was bought at the same time as that time. I think it's gotten a teeny bit bigger. It's really hard to tell. I think I cut like 2 sprigs, maybe 4 off of the entire thing, so I don't know. These guys right here, let me circle around to where I can get a better view of things. Move this place a little bit. Okay. These guys here, they are supposed to be, and were supposed to be, purple Prince zinnias. However, they look very much so like yellow and orange calendulas. So I'm a little confused on if I accidentally grew the wrong type of flower, or if they were just the wrong flower in general, or if I misremembered what I put. Either way, they're a bouquet of lovely, and I enjoy them very much. They're a little hard to water since they're tucked in that corner there, but once I get my drip irrigation and everything set up, which is all of these white hoses, which eventually will be buried up to the sprinklers, I can just have them self-water at the same time. Now I do have in here, very vaguely tucked in, potential other herbs, like this guy here I think is marjoram. I think that's an oregano of sorts and stuff like that. I'm not sure which was what anymore because it kind of got all mixed up, and my lovely assistant kitty cats love to mess with things. They ate all the catnip, of course. Sorry, found a sprinkler head. They ate all the catnip and have trampled all of my sage, which isn't doing too horrible. My artichoke, they trample once in a while, but it's doing pretty well, all things considered. It's definitely gotten bigger than it started. It started about yay tall, this little leaf right here. This little pepper is trying to hold on. I do believe that is one of my Hungarian black peppers, but if not, then it's just one of the random peppers that was over here. But it does reminisce of purple flowers, so it does look like that was what that was. Okay, in the blank patches, especially over here, there's some random flower seeds. I'm hoping that they'll just pop up. So we'll see how that goes. This petunia here, I bought this one and 2 others, which we'll see as we go on. At the same time, I planted 2 in ground and 1 in a pot just to see the difference in how they grow and if it was beneficial to either scenario. I had a different one here. It was more of a pinky purple color, but it didn't last more than a year, so it's gone. I moved my basil over here, trying to reorganize for my shade and everything like that I'm trying to get built, but with the wind being the wind it's been lately, that's been a no-go. So I'm hoping that maybe like tomorrow we can start getting started on it. I know we have to pick up a few more posts because we realized that the posts we had were too short, so that's that. Again, some more potential either marjoram or something of that nature. It's fine if I don't know what they are. I cook with kind of just a blind variety of similar spices, so as long as they taste good, that's all that really matters, unless I'm being very specific, and then at that point I will Google or double check or something. This petunia seems to like this particular area very well. It does drape into the walkway, so I do have to continuously like try to tuck it back and whatnot. This little bean sprout here, I do believe it's some sort of runner or pole bean of sorts. It overwintered itself. Leave it alone. It overwintered itself, and tucked into the petunias is more petunia seeds, so I'm hoping that... Get off the flowers! Move! Move! I'm hoping that more petunias just kind of pop up in their place. They're supposed to be very similar in color, so I'm hoping that I can just keep them going kind of scenario. This is my green forest over here. If you've been following me on Facebook or Instagram, you have seen that I've stated that 2 of my plants I've gotten cuttings for the second time. This one has been a one-time cutting. I have to come through later today and cut those again, and or for the first time for some of them. The rest is all cabbage, and right here, sorta kind of tucked in, is supposed to be cauliflower if it ever heads. Now at some point I do have to take the broccoli out, so I'm not sure at what point do I want to call it. You can tell I've had plenty of issues with moths, but I have noticed startings of baby heads here and whatnot. I have tried to keep the diatomaceous earth sprinkled on them, more so for aphid problems than the moth caterpillars, but all in all, just an over-round protection as in general. I do think that diatomaceous earth has been a big help so far and whatnot, so minus the cats digging up a few in the back and the rain kind of taking them out and everything, they've been just fine. The spacing isn't too horrible. It could be better, but it's not too horrible. Alright, these little guys here, I'm not sure if this one will stay with me or not. I might have to re-bury him like that, and we'll just fix it like that for now. Oh, you too. Might be too wet over here. Okay, but these guys are supposed to be top hat tomatoes of sorts, or microtoms. They're not supposed to get very big, which is why I kind of put them here to begin with, considering there's a nightshade in this bed already, but it's lived in the back, and all of the ones that are like it have lived in the same area. So they haven't been in the front of here yet. Oops, as I fall. My other basil, this one didn't seem to overwinter very well, and it seems to be having either light issues or it's got some sort of micronutrient problems, but I'm not too concerned if it doesn't like live on, because I have a plethora of seeds and I'll just start over. It is not the end of time for that scenario. Okay, this bed is commonly used for potatoes mostly. I have used it for greens in the past, but this time I've used it mostly for potatoes. The cats keep unburying them, as you can see there. That is the start potato. I just took my potatoes that were inside that went and eyed on me, and I just threw them in there. There was no chitting them, there was no real nothing. I just dug a little bit and put them in there. I do plan to kind of mound up dirt over them as they get a little bigger, but in the meantime I'm just seeing if they'll even grow. So far, kind of. These are supposed to be collard greens. These were a test to see if they would even grow. That's a kind of a yes-no scenario. They were in a bad spot, so I think they've gotten dwarfed for the fact that they didn't get all the things that they needed. Speaking of calendula, here is the actual calendula. As you can tell, that looks very similar to the zinnias. Now, I did find out by Googling it that calendulas and zinnias and something else, I forget what it was, they're all in the same family. So you get to basically guess. What are you eating? Get out of there, you goober. You basically get to guess on which one you get if you forget. And then my yarrow here, I've got 2 little yarrows here. They're doing pretty well. It's the first time I've even gotten yarrow to grow, which was nice. I started them all inside. My lettuce decided to finally join us. It wasn't the variety that I wanted to join us, but it is lettuce nonetheless. I did kind of like shotgun seed in here, so there's random little bits here and there, and whatever grew is whatever grew. This is the other petunia that I grew in the pot. Like I said, there is petunia seeds tucked in here somewhere, so hopefully that they grow. This one seems to be doing a little bit better in some cases and worse in some cases. So it's kind of a here and there kind of scenario. My very overgrown tree. Oh, I need to trim that. So with my rose here, it is doing well. It is growing quite a bit. I've had some aphid problems, which is kind of why I've tried to isolate some of them a little bit, especially when they were really bad. I still have some aphid issues I can see. Maybe you guys can too. They're right there where I noticed them, if it will focus. Those little bumpy parts, those are definitely aphids there. There's aphids over here. So it is growing, but it is still having aphid issues. So I might have to go with the pesticide and come in and spray and then come back later with the diatomaceous earth, because that duo seems to be doing pretty decent. But I do have this adorable, if I can get it to focus, come here. So I don't know if you can see those little white legs, but that is a spider. So I'm kind of on the fence of spraying it because I don't want to kill him, because he's doing his job. But at the same time, they're attacking my plant. So I'm like, eh. So back over here though, the rest of his house is connected to my chocolate mint. Chocolate mint tastes like a York peppermint patty, for those who don't know what chocolate mint tastes like. I have a random tomato plant with a ladybug. I've noticed this is the second ladybug of the season, so that's promising. I have seen like lizards and whatnot on my walks, so definitely spring's in the air. My bell peppers that would never grow actual bell peppers other than the one time that they were very micro small are finally dying. More so because I kind of neglect them. And I'm just over it because they don't ever grow anything. Alright, moving on. My hair is all over the place. I have my chili peppers. Now these don't have an actual like specific type or name to them. They just said chili peppers on the tag that came with them. And if you've seen, I've done updates on getting different batches of chili peppers and whatnot from these. These overwintered very, very nicely. I've done very minimal trimming on them just to kind of encourage more leaf growth. It looks like I'm going to have to come into some areas like right here and kind of cut back down towards the leaves there, so that way they have more energy to grow. But they are budding and they are producing chili peppers, which get very, very hot, by the way. So that's very nice. The basil over here seems to be doing a lot better. I never took the seeds off of this one because I was lazy, and now because I want to know, does it matter? So it doesn't seem like it matters too awful much, but at the same time it does not look anything like this one does. So I think it might matter a little bit. I have noticed that I forgot I tucked in little carrot sprouts amongst some of these pots because I was trying to encourage those particular carrots to just get really big. So I am finding now that little carrots have been popping up randomly. So I think next year I will continue carrots into the springtime until it gets officially too hot. And I gotta go back around. Move, guys. If you notice any pots in the back that were empty, those are going to be set up for melons and other things. So this is one of the other rose bushes. I moved it more or less, not to isolate them. Isolation kind of came after the fact, but this whole area is going to be where I'm doing my shade stuff. And like I said, I'm just waiting for the wind to kind of die down or stop. Today would have been a great day, but my husband's super tired, so he can't help me and I'm too short. But for the majority of the reason, like I was saying, the diatomaceous earth has been helping. I do see, like on this guy right here, I don't know if you can, there is still aphids here and there, but they're not nearly as bad as they were when I first noticed it. And I'm just looking now, and I don't immediately see them, which is a good thing. If you don't immediately see them, it's working, or they've gotten better. But there is one rose that finally started blooming. I don't know if you can see it, my finger's all in the wrong place. right there, that pink guy right there. So this is supposed to be, I do believe, a Playboy, or is it a something else? Hold on, I got a tag. It's a Weeks Rose, so this must be a knockout rose. Okay, so this is a knockout rose. I do believe this one has a different coloration than pink, if I remember correctly. And if it doesn't, oh well, it's still pretty. This guy here is a Playboy for sure. The one that's behind it that's dead was a Playboy, but what I found out is this is an heirloom. Heirlooms are the ones with the single petals. They don't look very flashy, they don't have the typical rose look to them, but these guys produce what's called rose hips. This is a rose hip from a garden potted, babied and taken care of rose. Typically they don't get that big, they get to maybe this big or that big typically, but when you have extra fertilizer in your soil they get extra big, also extra water. So a wild rose, the rose hips would be a lot smaller. These are edible to a certain extent, and also this is where the seeds of roses live. So my plan is to, one, use these as a herbal remedy, and two, see if I can grow roses from the seeds themselves. Now the fun thing about roses, when they're growing new vegetation, especially when a flower is going to be present soon, then you'll see these dark coloration of leaves near the areas that may or may not have flowers. Another thing to look out for is that these guys can shrivel up and die on you randomly. Just cut them off or pick them off depending on how sturdy the stem is, and then just keep the ones that are still ripening. They're supposed to turn a bright red to a dark red, but you can pick them at any pink stage. They just have to be fully colored. Like this one's almost ready, but it's not quite, it's too green still. I have some in the house, I'll show you guys later. I'll do more like photos and stuff like that, but yeah, on here I'm not immediately seeing like super bad aphids, but they do like to hide in the young leaves. They do like to hide on the buds and whatnot. So the fact that this has bushed out quite a bit is actually a good sign. Oh, I do see one right there, but I'm not seeing them like they were, so that's good. I have a jalapeno plant over here that I also got at the same time as these chili peppers. These two plants next to each other are the same, right here. This big one and that big one over there that I showed you earlier. They're the same plant. This jalapeno pepper overwintered as well, and it has come back very well as also. This was the other Playboy. I've mentioned many times it's died. I do have some flower seeds of sorts in this bucket here, hoping that maybe I can get something else to grow in there. We'll see. Being attacked by the fence and the cats. Down in this bucket down here, I have some leftover carrots here that I guess I missed the little seedlings, or there were seeds in general and they've popped up, which is fine. They can pop up. I do have cantabelles. I think they're what they're called, cantabelles. There's supposed to be a bell-shaped flower when they pop up, and there's supposed to be a vining type. So I'm hoping that I can get something to pop up, because I've noticed little kitty paws, so I don't know if I will get that or not. But yeah, I'm just hoping that that's how that is. On a side note though, since I've had the garden, this tree just blossoms and produces lots and lots of branches. It's kind of annoying, kind of cool now that I know that it's being taken care of. Like, that guy, look at there. It's coming out of the bark. Like, it's in there. Yeah, twigs of my shoes. Okay, so my red beets never grew like these did. These are my yellow beets. These guys are still relatively small. I do brush away like down here to kind of check on it a little bit. This one has gotten quite large since the last time I checked on it, so hopefully I can get it soon. Well, hello Lilith, how are we doing? But we have a few extra beets over here as well. My kale, no matter what variety it was, originally I just shotgun shelled it in here, basically just threw them in here and hoped to God that they grew. They did grow, technically, but not big enough. So they're just whatever's left is whatever's left. I never got to harvest a single leaf off of them. I did put some potatoes in here as well. These two broccoli are the ones that I have cut from. I do see one that has basically gone to seed. I might just have to claim the lower, yeah, right here. This guy is basically gone to seed. You can still gather it and eat it, but I just might let it go because I do need more broccoli seeds. But the lower ones I might be able to just collect from. This is my Malabar spinach. It does have signs of life here, so I'm hoping that this will vine back up over this trellis here. So that's pretty much it for that section there. Move around over to this side and we'll just go back and forth over here. This guy, I need to trim off these little sprigs here. But other than that, this guy's pretty much done as far as its seasons go, for me anyways. The guy next to it is a eggplant. This is a Hungarian eggplant. It is supposed to be a squatty type, and that just basically means instead of your traditional eggplant shape, it's supposed to be more fat and round at the bottom, kind of like it was sitting on something. It produced tons of flowers throughout the entire time it was growing. It was a lot bigger, as you can tell right here. I've cut it off. It was up here and over into that plant, so it grew massive. It did, but it just never produced an actual fruit, which was kind of annoying. So I'm hoping that now that it's gone through winter and everything like that, maybe it's year or season 2, you know, it'll actually produce something for me. Now next to it, we have 2 jalapeno plants. These guys were originally in the organic section in Home Depot. It was a single pot that I bought that happened to have 2 plants in it. So I did keep them relatively close at the bottom, but they do produce quite a bit. I have quite a bit of jalapenos from them from their first season. This is as tall as they've gotten, minus a few leaves here and there, but other than that, I haven't done a whole lot of trimming on the top section. I did do some trimming on the bottom areas because it had some like branches that just went off into the ether and had no leaves on them, so anything that had no leaves got chopped off completely. A rogue lettuce. This is one of the basils that overwintered, that was living specifically in this bed. It didn't fare very well, but it's also not dead, so I'm kind of just letting it go. Any what looks like roses that are dead, they're just dead. There's no talking about them anymore. They're just dead. I do have in here, amongst these pepper plants over here, some beans. They're the bush variety, so I'm hoping soon that they will get warm enough and just sprout like little wildfires, because I just have them tucked in here. I do have some tucked in over there as well, in the like areas that would vine up. I'm hoping that I can see how well they do and whatnot. Those pepper plants over here, these are a mix between a poblano and sugar rush peach. I did have some currant tomatoes, unfortunately, because they're tomatoes, for one, and for two, it was just so darn cold and they weren't doing very well to begin with. They did die officially, but there has been dropped little tomatoes here and there, so I'm hoping maybe they'll just self-seed. That'd be nice. They're a pain in the butt to grow. This is my Rio Sombra rose. Also had issues with aphids, specifically on the roses. Like you can tell, like that guy needs to be redone right there. I don't know if you can see that. But sorry for the weird angle and everything, but it was just the only way I can get in there. But yeah, so those, I'm trying my best. They're not doing the greatest, but they're at least alive, so that's what matters. This little patch of green down here is self-seeding basil, as far as I'm aware. I do need to dig them up and spread them out so that way they have a little bit more room and whatnot, but other than that, they're doing pretty well. Dude, really? I do see little tiny sprouts here, so I might be getting more basil. You're a weed. And if you weren't, oh well, you are now. Alright, so I am seeing sprouts where basil was, so it's either what I recently put into the ground or it's more basil. Time will tell. This lovely little bush right here, which looks monstrously big, is a purple Zeon. Not to be confused with a zinnia or anything, but it is part of the daisy family. I love this bush. I want to get another one. The problem is it loves like a semi-full sun, and this is the only side that has that. So I don't want it to like super take over, but I just might get one and put it in a pot and like leave it over here or something. And then tucked into it, its little companion flower right there, is a red snapdragon. I can't remember if that was a bought one or if I grew that by seeds, but either way they are massive. This definitely has a lot more flowers than it did like a week ago. And the fun thing about this Zeon, it is forever blooming. It's coming in and out of blooms. You see them in different stages. They go from like really bright and vibrant to really tiny and small. So I mean, it's really fun to just come out here and every day it's like a new different plant because they're just in a different location. So it's always been a fun thing to watch this. It lasted straight through the winter, like as if nothing happened other than obviously some like frost damage because it got really cold one day. But I would definitely recommend this as a perennial for sure. This would be my like one of top 10 things to grow in the Arizona section of the world. Now, as you can tell, there's obviously peas tucked on the back section here. I do need to come through and harvest, as I can now see that they have produced again, which is kind of nice. Hello, Onyx, what are we doing? We saying hi to the people? And again, I do see little, come on, out of there. I do see little sprouts pop up all over the place. There's some right here. There's some tucked in here. I do believe that I planted some more stuff in here, and if not, it's basil. I'm gonna have basil forever. Excuse me. I do have spinach in here. I got mad and threw the spinach seeds, so they ended up there because they weren't growing where I wanted them to. This was my first batch of peas. These are regular garden peas on this section here, and on that section they are sugar bonds. The difference between the middle section is that those are supposed to be 2 rows, but the cats thought otherwise. So now they are a patch. Let's see. Don't see any sprouts in this little dry section here, so either the seeds got washed away or they got dug up or something. But over here is supposed to be pansies. So I'm hoping, oh, you're a little worm. Yeah, I'm hoping that maybe they'll just pop up somewhere. I do have marigolds that self-seeded over here, so this is either a dandelion or it's a marigold. I'm not sure which, but either way, it doesn't matter. I do have some spinach back here. The mix of spinach was Avondale and Avon and Bloomsdale. It's Avondale. That's a place, not a Spanish as far as I'm aware. But they're just kind of, they are what they are at this point. The sugar bonds definitely are sweeter than the regular peas, but they are smaller. So that's something to consider. This little contraption here was interesting and art to grow, to say the least. My huckleberry plant, as you can tell, has quite a few berries on it. I don't know if you guys can see as well as I can on here. I haven't really harvested much since the last time because, well, 1, the weather, 2, I've been busy, and 3, because aphids have been driving me crazy, and touching them, it just makes me go, ugh. So there's definitely signs of aphids everywhere on here. I might just pluck everything and discard them or something, I'm not sure. But definitely have had to dust this heavily because of the aphid issue over here, and I'm not about to even try to see if they're on there because I'm pretty sure they still are. They were really bad. The fact that this plant even survives, I'm astonished with. But other than that, that's pretty much it as far as the garden goes. Sorry if the views have been kind of sucky, but I'm trying to talk and chew gum at the same time kind of concept, and obviously I'm not very good at that. So let's move on to the newest additions of the garden, and let's talk a little bit about those, because this has already gone on for way too long. So just as a quick little update, these little guys here are supposed to be a lime and lemon tree. For sure citrus. We just don't know what kind. They're supposed to be a dwarf type of some sort, but again, there's no real proof on that. This guy definitely has very present thorns on it, and I did get what appeared to be one lime from it, but it wasn't ready. Sadly, I picked it too soon, but it looked like it was like shriveling up, so I kind of wanted to get it before it was like gone. But I do see, like, especially here, my fingers pointing, there's little fruits, and I do see like flowers popping up. But I have these guys here. I don't know if you can see that, but that's some spiders. So they're kind of like free pest control. They came with the tree, ironically. But I don't really mess with them. I don't know what kind of spiders they are, and I don't really want to bother with them right now. They're not hurting anything. I do see some little leaves popping up and some little green sprout sections, so hopefully this tree is going to like take and do well. It's still pretty green for the majority of the reason, but I am having stress issues, curling leaves, dropping leaves, stuff like that, so I'm not sure if there's really much I can do, or if it's just like leave it be and it'll just figure itself out over time. So there's that one. This one seems to be the worst out of the bunch. But it did come with the most amount of flowers, so I'm hoping that maybe it's just stressed out and that I can fix it later. I have noticed that there has been a little bit of what seems to be new flowers, but I haven't seen a whole lot of evidence of new like growth or any fruit that have gotten big yet, so this one seems to be taking its time. I did notice that this one does have thorns here and there, but they're not as present as the other one, so I'm assuming that this one truly is a lemon tree versus the lime tree over there. So I guess we shall see. Like, this for sure is flowers, but they kind of look like they're dying, so I'm not sure what to take as far as that goes, of whether or not this tree is going to survive. You can see there's this bunch of leaves in the bottom there. I try to water these almost every other day, or like when I notice the top is getting dry, so that might be too much now. I've had them for a little over a week from their original home, which was a neighbor down the street, so we had to dig them up. So other than that, I mean, they do seem to be doing relatively well. They did. But I haven't seen any like surefire signs of new growth or anything like that, but I've seen a little bit of flowering, like especially this guy right here. Those are definitely on the newer side right here. I'm not sure you can see those. So I guess we'll see. I'll keep you guys updated. I'm hoping I don't lose either of them, but if I did, then I mean, it is what it is. They were free, so I mean, I can't cry too much about it. But thank you guys for joining me in my very long-winded conversation about my garden. I just was excited and wanted to share with you what's going on so far. So hopefully I can give you guys some more updates soon and whatnot. I do have a new plant, so I'm hoping that I can get that to be big enough and show you guys exactly what it is. I just need to do more research on care and whatnot, so I will do an update on that as soon as I can. Thank you guys for watching. If you haven't already, like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys on the next video. Bye!